Hello my friends, what's up? Let's talk about 2023. I really wanted to do a video talking about 2023 and some of the top moments I had this year, a few statistics, and just kind of what I have learned from 2023. If you're new here, what's up? My name's Elise. Welcome to my channel. If you're not new, welcome back. I love having you around. It's good to see you. Let's just get on into it. First, we started off with reading so many books, which I honestly did not anticipate, but I have largely to thank audiobooks for that. I read 154 books this year. I do not think that that is a normal number. Some of those books I actually included my textbooks that I read for school because you know what? I read them, they count. And like I said, lots of audiobooks. I had quite a few rereads, which helps me kind of speed through things a little bit faster as well. I don't think I'll be reading that many books next year with grad school and moving and things like that. I think that I just happen to have a good year of reading. That's crazy. I have not updated this yet, but I'll let editing Elise go ahead and do that. Here is my average rating of books for the year. Honestly, not bad. Not like amazing. Obviously, I would love for it to be closer to 5 stars, but all things considered, that's a pretty decent average. My biggest reading month was in April. I read 19 books. I don't know what was happening in April, but maybe I just read a bunch of short books. I have a few authors that I read the most from. First, we have Rick Riordan coming in at 10 books. All of these were rereads. The only thing is that the last 3 books of the Heroes of Olympus series I didn't remember as much as the others, so that was kind of like reading new again. Uncle Rick takes the #1 spot. Then we have Anna Huang coming in at number 2, and I read 4 of her books. Then we also have Ruby Dixon coming in with 4 books. All of those are rereads. Then we have Sarah J. Maas, also with 4 books, also all rereads. Then we have Taylor Jenkins Reid with 3 books, and then we also have Jennifer Saint with 3 books. The most read genres that I have are romance. Then we have contemporary, fantasy, literary, and science fiction. Now I know you can see like young adult, LGBTQIA+, middle grade, things like that. In my personal opinion, those are not genres. While they are different facets of books, you know, it's important to talk about those too. I just very strongly and firmly believe that they're not genres, so I will include them separately. With that side category in mind, I read quite a bit of YA this year. I had some really great YA books that I read this year. I increased the number of LGBTQIA+ books that I read, and I'd like to continue to increase those as the years go by, as well as some middle grade books with the Percy Jackson series and the Wings of Fire series. I read 94% fiction and 6% nonfiction. This is the exact same percentage as last year. I only read 9 nonfiction books, which I would like to increase that next year. Although I guess it'll automatically increase with my textbooks. But I would still like to read a few more like memoirs, nonfiction, self-help, things like that next year. I want to increase that percentage. Most of the books I read are in between that 300 to 499 pages mark, and I tend to read medium-paced books the most. Let's talk about the moods of the books that I read. Most of the time they're emotional. That usually comes along with romance books. Then we have lighthearted. I think that's my favorite kind of mood to read, is lighthearted. It makes me laugh, it makes me feel better about the world, and I feel like those books are a lot easier to read and like zoom through, which is probably why I've read so many books this year, because most of them are lighthearted. Then we have funny, on theme, on brand, adventurous, reflective, and then I wanted to include dark in here because that has increased from previous years, and I'm proud of myself for that. I really wanted to talk about some videos that I personally absolutely love. So as of today, as of December 18th, 2023, I uploaded 71 videos this year. Although, to be fair, there are people who probably have uploaded way more than that, but for me, I didn't really think that I would upload that many videos. I thought like maybe 52 and we'd be doing great. So I'm so proud of myself. But there are a bunch of videos that, while they were fun to make, I definitely have some that stood out to me that I absolutely adored. And I'm gonna do a bit of a humble brag because they either just like were such a hit or they were just so fun to make. and I put a lot of hard work into them, so I'm going to talk about them for a little bit. So I think my #1 favorite video that I did this year was This Video Ends When I Finish All of My Current Reads. It was one of the videos at the top of the year. I had 10 current reads going at the same time, and I couldn't start a new book until I finished all of them. I had so many great books. If you saw my recent video about my favorite books of the year, the best books I read in 2023, there were like three books, at least 3 from that video alone, maybe 4. That's great, and that's from one video, y'all. It was just so fun because that was a new video concept for me personally. I saw that video where it was like, this video ends when I find a 5-star read, and I kind of adapted it to what my personal circumstance was at the moment, and it was just so fun and so many good reads, and I was so glad that that video pushed me to finish those books because they were so excellent. Then my next favorite is swapping screen time for reading time. Again, I think because I found some really good books from that. Another 2 books that were in my top reads of the year. Dang, my top of the year reading was so good. But yeah, that video was really challenging, and it also made me think about how much time I spend on my silly little phone. So not only did I get reading time out of it, but it also made me think about my habits as well. Then we have the Christina Lauren reading vlog, and while this one didn't do so well in like views and reactions to it, I personally had the best time filming it because I really enjoy Christina Lauren. The Soulmate Equation is one of my top favorite reads of the year, one of my favorite of the favorites, and I had so much fun rereading it and annotating it. I had so much fun going and meeting Christina and Lauren at a book event here in Austin, Texas with my good friend Miley, who's also a book lover. We just had so much fun, and now I have that memory of that event, and it's encapsulated for me, and I just had the best time, and so that was just so much fun for me. Then we have short book recommendations. Y'all, I have been on the short book trade, but I think that's also why I've been able to read so many books, is because I have really been reaching for shorter books because that's what fits my schedule. And so I made a recommendation video on that. And I'm really proud of those books that I read that I really enjoyed, for people who are, you know, short on time and want those types of books to read too. Then we have My Boyfriend Chooses the Books That I Read. I just love that video because that was the first video I filmed with my boyfriend, and that wasn't like me coercing him. I asked him one time if he'd be willing, and he said yes. It wasn't like a consistent, persistent thing. He was just like, yeah, sure. He was a little nervous, but he ended up having a really good time. I had a really good time. And the books that he chose really pushed me out of my comfort zone, and I appreciated that. One of the books from that video is in my top favorites of the year, so I think that's excellent. And it's just like a fun, silly little memory that we have. We talk about it frequently. Yeah, I just really enjoyed that. Then we have Smash or Pass with my friend Miley, also from the Christina Lauren video. She and I had read quite a few similar books and wanted to do that like popular trend of smash or pass. That was really fun because while some of our answers were the same, some of them were different, so it was really interesting seeing like why our reasoning was different, and just like having that bonding time where we got to film and have like a fun time together talking about books. Then we have the Twisted Series reading vlog, also not so popular in terms of views, but I loved reading that series. It was excellent. One of my top favorite reads from the year is from that video. I loved Anna Huang's writing. I loved exploring those couples. I loved the spiciness. She just has like such a really good blend of all of those components in her stories, and I just didn't want the series to end, but it did. So I'll be moving on to the King of Sin series next year. Then we have a few videos that were just so fun, like my TBR cart. That was just so fun to build and make and chat with you guys. And then My Boyfriend Choosing My November TBR. I laughed so much while filming that video. I don't know what Cooper and I were on that day, but we were on something, and it was just so fun. Then we have some videos that I'm just really proud of myself for doing. First, we have the series video. That took so much research and preparation and editing, and I'm so proud of myself for doing that, because not only was it a lot of effort and time, but I also realized a goal that I could set for myself that was achievable. It also kind of showed me where I stood in terms of series and things like that, so that I could choose to continue them, or I could just let them go and not feel the weight of them anymore. And last but not least, reading my highest and lowest rated books. Those are books I would not have naturally gravitated towards. They probably would have sat on my shelves for a while yet. But doing that video and that challenge really pushed me to read those books, and I'm glad I did. Like, while I'm not personally going to be keeping those books, I don't regret reading them, especially The Nightingale. That story is really gonna stick with me for a long time. Then there are a few things that I learned this year from reading and from my booktube channel. First, I've learned that I'm not huge on suspense. I've tried out a few suspense books this year, and repeatedly they are just not my favorite. They are not highly rated books for me, and I don't think that has anything to do with the author. I think that has to do with me personally and my preferences. Then I found that I'm kind of into horror, which is so ironic, right? You would think if I'm not a huge fan of suspense, I wouldn't like horror. But I think because a lot of horror has elements that are almost like fantasy, and I love fantasy, that I am more drawn towards horror than like suspense. So that's something that I want to explore in 2024. I want to try out more horror novels and just see if these were flukes or coincidences, or if I really do like that genre. Then we have audiobooks, y'all. I would not have read at least a third of the books that I read without audiobooks. That's almost 50 books, y'all. If I had not listened to audiobooks, I would have read 50 less books this year. That's insane to me. I could not imagine. I think back onto the time before I listened to audiobooks so regularly, and I'm like, dude, I was missing out. So I'm just so grateful that there are so many audiobooks out there, that there are so many talented voice actors and narrators out there that make the story so much more elevated than just reading it off of pages, which I absolutely love. I absolutely love reading physical books and ebooks. But sometimes those narrators just elevate the story, and it's like a visceral experience, and I just freaking love audiobooks, y'all. Audiobooks, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Okay, this is not really a new realization, but I have a problem about buying books. So I really want to try and challenge myself, like come up with new challenges and things to focus on the books that I own personally. I don't know, I might be taking a little bit of a step back from my Instagram, because while I'm on that, I see all of the book suggestions of my friends on Instagram, on Bookstagram, and that leads me to wanting to buy all these books, which I think is not a bad thing, but I'm really running out of space. I really need to save money for school. I'll be moving in May or June, so I just need to like calm down. So if you have any ideas for like fun book challenges that I could do that would get me to read more of my books, I'm all ears, so please let me know in the comments. All right, my friends, I know that there are more statistics that I probably could go over with you, but I think these are the ones that I'm going to stick with. I think that it does a good job of summing up my 2023 reading year. I would love to know answers to any of these for you guys in the comments. I love talking about books with you guys. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're doing well whenever and wherever you're watching this, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, friends.